but there's always a little bit of hurdy-burdy afterwards.
I think the main issue, the recurrent issue, is that with always, ever since I've been around in cricket, there's all been question marks about county cricket and its ability to produce test players that are ready to go. Because of that question mark, when anything goes wrong with the England team, it's always issues around selection and can you trust numbers in county cricket, or do the coach, do they need to have more control of their players at the centre and get their wish? So it's always those fault lines are revealed by any bad result. They go away pretty quickly too.
Yeah.
If England start playing well and winning, you won't hear much about selection panels and county cricket anymore.
Victor's stroking his chin, which suggests he's often got something interesting to add.
Not necessarily. But I mean, I think as a batsman, you know in your mind how you want to score runs off any particular bowler. And I think, for example, against Yasir Shah, they will have rethought, hang on a minute, I'm not sure I want to clip in the square of the wicket with too many cut shots because that ball skids on. Likewise, I'm a bit wary of clipping him through mid-wicket. So that might not be such an option that you had in your head before Lords. You have a different option. The other one that occurs to me, I reckon in that second innings, there was an element of, well, let's look at their attack. They've got Mohammed Amir, Andy. They've got Wahab Riaz, never quite know, and Yasir Shah. And I think they kind of went at, we'll go at Rahat Ali. Before we know it, 3 wickets down to Rahat Ali, because they slightly underestimated him. They felt they had to go after him to give that innings an impetus. And I think in both cases, it's not, as Ed's saying, it's not an overhaul of technique. It's just perhaps rationing how you think you're going to get your runs and where you're going to get them.
One thing I'd add to that is that in the early 2000s, county cricketers were lucky to play against all the great spinners with Vaughan, Mushtaq, Sacklane, Mullerton. What you found was that first time out against them, it was often very difficult and you hadn't really figured out a method. So picking up on Victor's point, it's not about technical changes, it's more about working out your scoring options. And I think often, obviously great bowlers have a right to get you out, and there are times when a bowler will have the wood on you. But it definitely gets easier against great spinners. You work out where you think your best scoring options are. So I think that's one area where those England young batsmen will feel more confident moving forward. They actually had some time in the middle. Almost everyone had some batting time, the new guys, Vint and so on, against Yasir Shah, and they feel more confident about saying, okay, here we are, this is the situation, this is where he's bowling, this is how he's trying to get me out. I know what the danger of balls to be aware of are.
I haven't done it, although I should have. If you analyse those 10, 11 wickets that Yasir Shah got, I would imagine that 8 or 9 of them were batsmen looking to score runs. So they know actually they can defend against him relatively confidently. It's not the unplayable balls that are coming, it's their own mistakes, which is often the way.
Laura's back to warm up. She's poised, she's ready, she's bracing herself. Let's have a listen. There's a few of the opening powers. There we are, singing live. It's lovely here at Old Trafford. Ramiz is here too, stroking back his formidable hair. Morning, Ram. Well, this time they have to perhaps with a harder way this time. It's the first time that Misbah's lost the toss in this position.
That's true, yeah. I mean, they've got to fall back on discipline and bowling the channel. It's not about bowling Yorkers, it's not about getting wickets. I think there'll be sessions where you've got to sit in. Let's see how they operate, because they're at the best when they're asked to pick wickets, when they're aggressive. And I think with the conditions that we've got here, I think they need to play out sessions cleverly, not allowing them to get off the mark straight away. I think because when you ask some of the bowlers to bowl a certain line, they may err. If you ask them to get a wicket, they can do that quite easily.
I reckon that you'll be very pleased with the manner in which they played a horse too. They look calm, controlled, still dangerous and passionate, but just controlled, should we say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got to balance the end in a way, and also importantly, they need to score maybe a 350, because that's when they can win a test match, especially here in England. So batting will be under a little bit of extra stress because England have loaded themselves with quality bowlers in this test match. But how they play Yasir Shah, that's going to be the key factor, isn't it? And I think his performance stems from the fact that he's disciplined. He's not a big spinner of the ball. He doesn't have a vicious wrong gun or a red flipper. It's about bowling 6 balls over after over, and that's how he gets you. So your shot selection, the fact that you've got to pick him from the park, that's going to be the key.
We'll see you later, Ramiz. Lovely to see you. And here we go. The umpires will be emerging any moment now with the crowd applauding here as so finishes her first verse, and she's clapping the crowd too, which is rather nice. Lovely spirit here at Old Trafford. say, dare I mention in terms of yes, there is some DRS. Does that make a difference? Do you think how batsmen are playing spinners now or have to play?
Yeah, I think the general technical point is obviously actually one practice they could have done with the batsman is practice without pads. But I think actually the ability to say I'm using the bat, and when you practice in the net against your own spin, it's different skill. You say every time I get caught forward playing defensively, imagine that's a defeat. That's what the bowler's trying to get you to do. With some colleagues of mine who get away with front power and just practice in the nets, forcing themselves to get the bat out in front of the knee and actually use the bat, not be lazy. Gary Balance in the first innings, probably one of the most horrible dismissals of the whole Test match. He'll certainly have learned from it. Well, he almost didn't play a shot at the ball. The bat was way behind us, thudded into his shin. You've got to expect the ball to turn in, that's what he's trying to do. So I think, yeah, there are little things you can do to make sure that DRS doesn't come into play. Don't get hit on the pad.
There we go, sound advice as Pakistan take the field. John Holm is our guest today, so all your questions for Ask the Umpire, get them filed in now to our usual website. And email address tms@bbc.co.uk. Here comes Alistair Cook, Alex Hale running out into the sunshine as Laura finishes her lovely rendition of Jerusalem. To the commentary box we go. That's a very good morning to Henry Blofeld.
My dear thing, Angus, what a splendid start. Thank you very much. It sounds very complicated, doesn't it? Now, is there anything more exciting than the first morning of a Test match? For me, it simply isn't. This is terrific. Old Trafford is not full yet. I'm sure we will get 18,000 people ere long. But this is the start of it, coming off the back of the Lord's Test, which went so, in the end, convincingly to Pakistan. The umpires are out there. We've got Kumar Dharmasena from Sri Lanka and Rod Tucker from Australia. The Sri Lankan fielders led out by Misbah, whose succession of 6 winning tosses against England has come to an end. Alice, he called heads, it turned up as tails, and Alistair Cook decided to bat. The Pakistan side is as it was at Lord's. England have made 2 changes. Finn and Bell have been dropped, and Stokes and Anderson are both fit, and they have come back. And alongside me is Geoffrey Boycott, and a very good morning to you, Geoffrey.
Morning, Henry. Morning, everybody. Well, it's straightforward, isn't it? If England want to win the Test match, and they have a good record here at Old Trafford, it's simply same order, better batting. It's that simple. It's obviously going to get better as a bowling side once you've got Jimmy Anderson back. Stokes, yes, I think it will be advantageous if he's bowling well, and obviously the selectors think he's had enough cricket to be bowling well, but Anderson is the key for that. But the rest, I don't think it makes much difference about what we talk about the England batting, what strokes they have. They're all individuals. It's the bit between the ears. It's the 5.5 inches between the ears. If they start thinking better that this is a 5-day test, not a 1-day test, they can beat Pakistan. I'm convinced of that. And that's all they have to do. That doesn't mean they have to bat slowly, they don't have to just stay in and block it, but they do have to bat with a great deal more common sense and a better shot selection, and then they'll put bigger totals on the board, and then it'll be Pakistan under pressure.
Well, we're just having a little bit of trouble at the far end. Umpire Dharmasena is wanting either people to move. There's one chap there just to the left of the side screen at the old millionaire. He's sitting down, all is well, here comes behind the mirror to bowl Cook. 3 steps Scully in a short leg. The first ball, it's on his way. Cook is forward massively. You heard that rather comforting sound as ball hit the middle of the bat, and it raced away there to mid-off, and so we are underway. This second Test match here at Old Trafford. In bright sunshine, and the forecast, as you may have heard from John Hammond in the Weather Centre, is excellent for the next 2 days at any rate. And let's hope that he's rather gloomy prognosis for Sunday and Monday. Let's hope that improves by the time it gets here. It's Mohammed Amir again, left arm over. Ian Bowles, Cook in forward. That's the first run of the match. He steers that away between slip and backward point, and it's gone down to the boundary there for 4 runs. A control stroke, he reached for it a little bit, then it was soft his hands, and away it went wide of gully, backward of backward point. So England are underway for Canary.
Andrew, could you do a small favour? You keep a separate sheet of how many runs go to third man today. Just whether it's played there deliberately or goes with an edge. We often talk about it, so many of us commentators. And it's ridiculous how many runs go down there.
Indeed, 4 for no wicket. Here's Mohammed Amir again in over the wicket. Well, Cook goes onto the back foot, plays that firmly down the mid-off, and that is no run. Yes, in the Lord's Test, it was similar, wasn't it? An awful lot of runs, and then late in the match, but we did see a third man being used.
And if you put at the side of that, how many shots go between square cover and the umpire, driven off the front foot or off the back foot? Have a look at how many runs get hit there, and I bet it's not as many as the edges the third man by a long way.
Mohammed Amir again in, Bowles Cook outside the off stump, he lets that go through to Sarfraz, who takes the ball cleanly, and there is no run. The crowd building up.
I just want to keep him occupied, Henry. I don't want him to have an easy time, you know, just have lunch and tea and a free lunch and tea and do nothing in between.
We say good morning to him, and good morning. It looks well. Have you put on some weights, His Lords?
He's been eating, Henry.
Basically all I do between test matches.
Well, you told me you've been up to Colwyn Bay.
Was,
That's
yes.
a bit more than eating.
Beautiful at Colwyn Bay.
Isn't it lovely?
Lovely.
Glamorgan's, one of the Glamorgan's home grounds, as it were. Here's Amir in Bowles, put it forward, and again going down there to mid-off, and there is no run.
I think I played their first class match there. Was it a one-day match versus Yorkshire, 40 overs, round about 70. Wilf Wooler was the great man there. What a character he was. We used to have characters there, Newton chairman and chief exec and secretary, call it what you want, running the game, former captain.
Chief bottle washer, he didn't
Everything.
Didn't take fools gladly.
No, he didn't take any prisoners either. He either liked you or he didn't, Wilf. What a character. I think we played Colwyn Bay at 40 over and 40 overs. Roy Frederick's got 100 for him.
And Mohammed Amir again in Bowles, and put forward, edges that, and that's gone away for 4, and so 8 runs have now come down to third man, underlining Jeffrey's point. That was much more edgy, wide of third slip. It's the end of the first over. England 8 for no wicket, and Mohammed Amir will have, his heart would have been in his mouth for just a moment when he saw Cook nibble that one.
Just went a tiny bit. It didn't do a lot, but it's that business that I say, the England batsmen have to just get started, they have to get the footwork going. You're trying like hell when you first go in, but you know, everything just doesn't work as perfectly as when you've been there an hour, and nothing wrong with that. Good cricket, but the pitch looks good. Really, really good for batting. Great toss to win.
8 for no wicket, and Rahat is coming on at this end, the Brown Statham end. Originally the Brown Statham end was to wait right when the wicket was going across the ground. It's now coming straight down the ground from the old pavilion towards the new pavilion, and this end has been, or rather the Brown Statham end has been shifted to where we are sitting now, and the tall Rahat is running away from us up to the wicket now. Bowles to Hales is forward, he's on the pad, and it goes away to Azhar there, short leg, and actually Hales goes quickly back into his crease because Azhar fielding very close. Andrew.
He did play a Colwyn Bay. It wasn't the first game, there have been a few before.
No.
Ray Fredericks didn't get 100, but 81.
Oh, that's a bad memory.
G. Boycott got 100 before we know.
Well, I think that's what he was leading to.
No, we won the match. I thought Roy Fredericks got 100. He was their overseas player, and we got that wrong.
Rahat Ali it is again into Hales. Bowles. Hales dragged that away, right away through mid-wicket of his pads. Then across his pad there was an appeal. I think going down the leg side, the ball ran out on the offside, and there was no run.
Just a bit too straight. I like the idea, pitched it up. He didn't control it. Just get it over a bit, outside off stump. When you ball left arm over and get to just outside off stump, the ball swings back, it can hit them BLBW. And if your straight on ball goes, it's much more effective to bring the slips and keeper into play. Don't get it too straight.
Precepts Nagali has Rahat in Bowles.
Oh.
The offside, that came back. And in fact, I don't think Hales knew really, and worked it out that it was coming back. He played no stroke, and was perhaps a bit lucky that didn't hit the off stump, because it was mighty close to it. We've got Precepts Gully, backward point, mid-off, mid-on, forward short leg, and a fine leg back in the far distance. And Mohammed Amir wearing a sun hat, in the distance, and Yunus Khan wearing a sun hat at second slip. As Rahat Ali is in again, left arm over, there he goes, and he's good, and plays that one away, short leg, where Azhar Ali does very well indeed on the bunch to half stop that. And the ball only trickled about 4 or 5 yards behind him, and he recovered very quickly. There was no run, and it was Shafi Magali who came out and gave him a little congratulatory tap on the back for stopping that.
Hell, it looks good, that pitch. They've got to catch it, Pakistan. There might not be too many nicks and so forth. They've got to catch well.
And Rahat on his way in now again, bows down Hales comes forward, drives. That was not a very good looking stroke. He laid it a bit away from his body and got low down. He was almost kneeling on the ground when he played that.
That's the thing where it puzzles me. That was so wide, and he went after it, and then he suddenly realised, wow, well, this is a dangerous shot. Stopped himself, didn't he?
Yes.
And I think, why haven't you got the patience and concentration in a 5-day test? You just started, you know that. Why can't you leave that? Why can't you just leave it?
8 for no wicket, and Rahat Ali again in, bowls down to Hales. He left that all right. That was way past the off stump. Last ball of the over. A maiden over, 8 for no wicket, all 8 to Cook. And the two batsmen meet for what is almost the obligatory chat. Andrew.
That's a milestone for Alistair Cook. This is his 50th test as England captain. 4th player to captain England on 50 occasions or more. Joining Andy Strauss, who also did 50. Michael Vaughan 51 and Michael Atherton 54.
They are the only 4.
Only 4 for England, yeah.
And of course, they're all very recent captains, an indication of how much more frequent Test cricket is, how much more frequent it's played these days. Mohamed Amir is going to continue the attack.
Here's a good one, Henry, for all our listeners. You know, they're steeped in cricket, many of them. Send it in, your emails or whatever you do, to our captain. Who do you think was England's best captain? Not about how many tests he captained.
Mohamed Amir, Cook takes his banner away at the very last moment. He threw that and threw it went to Cyprus.
I was going to ask you, Henry, because you have a good memory about cricket going back. I mean, some of these captains didn't captain many test matches because there weren't many, were they? 1900s, 20s. But we're looking at everything and what they did. And it'd be interesting. It's an interesting little thing that who would come out as the best captain, not the most tests.
Yes, some thoughts of that at the moment. Mohamed Amir again to Cook. He's in. He bowls. Cook is forward, running down there to mid-off, and there is no run. That is the captain, Ms. Barrel, picked up. And well, I mean, the 3 that come to mind quickly: Mike Brearley, Douglas Jardine, Raymond Lilligan.
Most of them are what you've seen. I mean, really what you've seen. And
Yes.
this is the danger for all of us. We pick people who we have seen, but it's the people who we didn't, were playing long before we were born.
And Mohamed Amir again outside the off stump, going further away. No stroke there.
What they achieved, what they did, and reading about them, and that's the interesting one, isn't it? How good they were, because we didn't see them. We're all, it's what we see, we lost in our memory. So anybody of the recent times is high on our list. Our list is a batsman, a bowler, anything. But it's the greats at anything who we never saw, didn't play too much test cricket because there weren't many test matches. Making a judgment on those is difficult.
Mohamed Amir in, bowls out to Alistair Cook, plays no stroke, again withdrawing his bat quite late. Before it goes to Cyprus. Yes, it would have been fascinating to be able to evaluate, for instance, Johnny Douglas, JWHT Douglas, who did it, and then you go back to Plum Warner, who from what I've read, I don't think was probably one of England's greatest captains. Percy Chapman was another who may have done the job pretty well.
Was he from Surrey?
No, Kent.
Kent.
Yeah. And
Who was the one at Surrey who was a great captain, never got to be? Percy Fender.
Percy Fender, PGH. Mohamed Amir in, Cook, oh my goodness, up near the off stump. Give Cook the benefit of the doubt. They keep pulled out of the throat right at right to the very last second. And again, it went through to Sarfraz, and that would have given everyone from the Pakistani slips to their supporters in far off Lahore much to hope for.
Well, we're at Lancashire, wasn't it? McLaren?
Yes.
He was at Lancashire in England, AC McLaren, who actually got SF Barnes to bowl in the nets here at Old Trafford. And through watching him in the nets, he only played in the league, he picked him for Australia, didn't it? Got him on the bowl. That was some selection.
And Mohammed Lamir again into Cook outside the off stump, fell wider still. No stroke there, another maiden over. And England, who won the toss, 8 for no wicket, all 8 to Cook. And Hales at the other end, not yet off the mark, and has played just one maiden over from Rahat.
That must have been one of the great sort of instinctive selections of all time in any country. Just see a guy bowling the nets at you, McLaren bats, SF Barnes comes and bowls.
It couldn't happen today.
No, it just wouldn't happen. I mean, you just talked him, the other selectors, into the team. They had such an effect, the captains, didn't they? Being of the private schools, you know.
No one more
amateurs.
No one more than Lord Hawke. Here's Rahat, Ian bows Hales. Hales works that away off his deck. His first run. Chase from Mohammed Amir around the fine leg boundary. Picks up square. It returns quickly, but they've run a couple of runs. So Hales is underway. He has a couple, and England are now 10 for no wicket. But I mean, Martin Hawke, he was a fair Martinet as a captain, I think.
A Martinet, yes, he was.
But it's impossible to say, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just an interesting, I don't know what you call it, but I often think, you know, going back to the people we never saw, and read about them as captains and players.
Interesting exercise, isn't it? Yeah. Here's Rahat again, in there, Wells and Hills forward, pushing it firmly down to Misbah there at mid-off, and there is no run. Old Trafford really looking splendid. We've got the Point, which is the big red building just to the left of the pavilion as we look at it, which was the first structure they built when they started to completely rejuvenate and rebuild Old Trafford. A mixture of temporary stands and new permanent stands going all the way around the ground.
I like Old Trafford. I think it's going to be, when this built here, to make it symmetrical, building this hotel and extra seats, I think it'll be fantastic.
Rahat Ali in both, Hales, middle landing of RW, and umpire Rod Tucker, the Australian, says not out.
Too straight.
And too straight, a lot of people will think that's double Dutch.
Well, he pitched on, but it's moving down leg side. It's going down leg side or over the top. It just didn't look right. We're a long way up here in the sky. That's why I say, once you pitch on from left arm over, you've got to pitch it off stump outside. You've got to get it over more.
And while Rahat Ali walks back, one personal thing, there's a marvel where the old hotel used to be, which was not one of the most beautiful buildings in the Northern Hemisphere. They pulled it down happily, and there's a new building being built. There's a huge crane there now. More of that in a moment. It's rather a spectacular crane. Rahat Ali is in, he both Hales outside the off-stump, Hales plays no stroke, and Sarfraz takes up by his waist. Now the crane over there, it's like a sort of bikini crane. It's yellow at the top and orange rust colour underneath. And this morning when I got here, I was standing up there and I actually saw it move, which is rather exciting. Because cranes, by and large, people always listen to my jabbering on about cranes. Well, no, they tend not to move when you're looking at them. Anyway, it's going to be part of the landscape for quite some time to come. Part of the landscape here at Old Trafford. Rahat Ali's in, bowls and Hales forward, plays it well, and it's going that way between the bow and mid-off. Had they gone for a run, it was difficult to run, they didn't in the end. They had to wait and see, or rather Hales had to wait and see whether Rahat was going to get down to it. He didn't, and by that time, Misbah from mid-off was really too close for the ball. So I think to be able to run, to go for a run then, although a run was undoubtedly on.
I think that was wise, very sensible. They weren't sure.
10 for no wicket. Rahat Ali again, skip at the start of his run, striding out now. He's there, he bowls, and Hales gets forward, turns out round the corner, and Mohammed Amir goes to his right and fine leg, and that's beaten. It's 4 runs. He timed that very well, placed it very well. Umpire Rod Tucker signals 4. Hales goes to 6, and the total now 14 for no wicket, and we have had 4 overs. So 8 and 6 to Cook and Hales, and after another word from Jeffrey, it's going to be Jonathan Agnew.
Well, this looks as if it's one of the best test match pitches for batting that I've seen here for a while. We've come here a number of times. Often we say the pitches are full of cracks, they're dry, and they play quite well. They play a lot better than they look, but they do look a bit scrubby-dubby. This looks an absolute belter. It looks worth the bat, Jonathan.
Good morning, Jeffrey. Well, this is Cook coming forward and pushing a bit out through extra cover. The couple are here as Midhurst pursues out towards deep cover and pulls off a modern day-ish dive. Quite, I wouldn't give him 10 out of 10 for artistic impression for that one, but he's got muddy knees, and they take 2 more runs, so 16 for no wicket. And again, from this height, I know it just really matter and stuff, but they've definitely hosed this ground down. No doubt about it. It's very damp. You look at the mud on Midhurst's knee there. It hasn't rained here for ages, but it's a sort of an anti-scuffing up reverse swing tactic, I would say. It's really very damp out there. 16 for no wicket in the 5th over. Cook on 10 with 4 slips, a gully, backward point. Finds Muhammad Amir, bowls outside Cook's off stump, watches it go by. All collected by Safraz. As I mentioned earlier, there are some tickets available. Just turn up really at the ticket office, but there's not that many, so they are saying